Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Daily Fantasy Digest Podcast, the all-inclusive podcast where we talk all things fantasy sports to help give you an edge. I'm your host, Joe Beer, and I'm going to be breaking down the 9-game early slate on Saturday, June 8th. I'm going to be giving my top pitching options as well as bat stacks, so sit back. Let's jump right in to pitching options that you're not going to want to miss today. A lot of good pitchers in pretty fair spots today, but there's a few that I think pretty much stand out to me the most. One player that I really want to target at SP1, I know a lot of people are going to be on Giolito. We have two pitchers above 10K right now. Giolito's kind of really turned this year around a lot, but 11.2K is a little tight for me. And I really want to go to some more of these mid-range pitchers. After last game, coming back from injury, I really want to target Nick Pivetta here at 8.8K. Pitched a 9K no-run game against the Dodgers in Los Angeles. I'm going to be at home going up against Cincinnati. I think this is a great matchup again. It's just have another solid start. He should be a very chalky pitcher tomorrow. For SP2, I'm very torn between Kyle Gibson and Julio Teheran. I think these are the middle pitchers of the pack that are really just going to stand out to me. I'm leaning more towards Teheran tomorrow going against Miami, who's an absolutely terrible offense. For me, the Detroit Tigers could put a hurt on Gibson, and 9.7K just seems a little too expensive for him. I could see if you went Giolito, I'm going to be way off Greinke, and I'm not a big fan of anybody lower tier here. The only one I would be okay with is Zach Davies because he goes pretty deep into games. But going up against Pittsburgh, I'm just not a fan. I'm going to stick here with a mid-tier stack for pitchers and kind of jump off the high-tier guys for tomorrow. Alrighty, let's jump into these bat stacks here because this is where it starts to get really interesting because the bats, surprisingly, the pricing is not really that high for some of the most integral stacks that you're going to want to get into your lineups. Soto is pitching for Detroit, Gregory Soto, so I want to maximize any Minnesota hitters you can get. And to be quite frankly honest, I'm not really interested in anybody above or 5K on Minnesota. I'm very interested in Nelson Cruz, CJ Cron, and Jonathan Scoop, or Shoop. I think these are the top righty hitters on the team. CJ Cron in particular, just absolutely incredible. 13 homers on the year, 8.3 fantasy points per game. Jonathan Shoop has just turned it around. Joining the Twins this year with 11 homers, 7.8 fantasy points per game. Nelson Cruz just came back from injury and only is at 4.2K, one of the greatest hitters against lefty pitching. So I think that Nelson Cruz is just a joke at 4.2K. I could definitely see you throwing in a Marwin Gonzalez, and if Jason Castro plays, which he possibly could, due to Garver being... It just depends on what they go with. They'll probably go with Garver, but Castro would be a nice pivot off of Garver if he doesn't play. But I could definitely see you going to Marwin to complete a four-man stack. I still have no clue how his price is $3,600, and it's been staying there for roughly the entire season. But this is a core three that I don't think you can ignore tomorrow. Especially going up against Soto. This is pretty much a bullpen game from the Tigers, so they don't really expect to come out with a win. So this is an integral stack that you're not going to want to miss out on when creating your lineup. Second stack of the night is going to be Oakland going up against Palumbo. It's going to be his first game coming up from AAA. So I want to take full advantage. I want Piscotty, and I want Chris Davis, and I do want Marcus Semien, who has just been on fire lately. Love Marcus Semien and love the value that he brings. If you didn't want to go Marcus Semien, you could go, Profar or Raymond Lorano. I'm okay with as well. I think that these are by far, this is by far the top stack for both of these teams. It's definitely Oakland and Minnesota. If you go ahead and you go to catcher and you drop down to a low tier catcher, you'll be able to get a solid third baseman. It's just like, a one-off catcher, something like John Ryan Murphy. Some of these guys that are just really low tier. Austin Romine. I could definitely see you playing Austin Romine going up against Plutko tomorrow. That'll allow you to really just get somebody in a decent range for third base. But this is roughly what my lineup's going to look like come lock tomorrow. I'm a big fan of Minnesota and Oakland as the stacks. I think they're in the best spots hitting as well. The only other stack that I can think you stacking is a recommended stack for GPPs is going to be the Yankees going up against Adam Plutko, who got absolutely destroyed last game by the Tampa Bay Rays. I think that players like, Gary Sanchez, Luke Voigt, players like that are going to be eligible in GPPs. Now, I do want to talk about one last stack that you're going to be able to find some value in. That's going to be Houston. It's going to definitely be the chalkiest stack of the night. Cashner's coming off an injury. He's going to be pitching, going up against Houston in Houston. It's just going to be an absolute crapshoot of a game. So players like Josh Reddick are in play, Michael Brantley. If you want to swap out any of these guys, Yuli Gurriel is always incredible at 3,600. If you plug him in, you'll be able to get a catcher in and just complete the lineup. So I think Houston's definitely another GPP stack you can look at. And I have a feeling that it will definitely be the chalkiest stack of the night with Cashner coming back from injury. But for me, Minnesota has just been so hot this season. And to see that their 3 top righty hitters going up against a terrible lefty are sub 4.3K or 4.5K is just ridiculous to me. It's something you have to capitalize on. So I'm locking in all 3 of those guys, as well as Nick Pivetta and Teheran at pitching. I think that the matchup is just there, and that's something that I really want to go ahead and highlight on. So, yeah, this is roughly what it's going to look like come lock tomorrow. If you do enjoy the video, please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube and Apple. And leave a comment or like and let me know what you thought of the breakdown. Stay tuned for more breakdowns as well as interviews this week. If you're listening to this video, please go ahead and check out the interview that we did yesterday with Thrive Fantasy. It's definitely one that you want to listen to. Super enjoyable as well. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, FantasyDigest_. We can stay up to date with all of our fantasy breakdown updates as well as anything that we may tweet out before lock. Go ahead and tweet me at FantasyDigest_ if you have any questions before lock tomorrow. This will be going out the night before or the morning of, so you have enough time to watch the video before lock. And hopefully everybody wins some cash tomorrow, and good luck.